Yo, what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to Team 9 in XFL and USFL podcast. This week on the show, my New Orleans Breakers is the last remaining undefeated team in the USFL. As the Breakers star running back Wes Hill said after the huge victory over the defending champion Birmingham Stallions, we're in their hub. This is their city. We beat them on their turf. He had 34 carries for a record 191 yards and 3 touchdowns. In other news, the Houston Gamblers narrowly edge out the Memphis Showboats in a back and forth finish in one of, if not the best ending the USFL has seen this season. The Showboats are the only team without a win so far this year. The Pittsburgh Maulers, they got their first win last week, led by a USFL record 5 field goals by Chris Blair. The Pittsburgh Maulers get their first win of the season over the Philadelphia Stars. It's their first win since week 5 of 2022. Wow, that's a long time. Have the New Jersey Generals found their Luis Perez successor? DeAndre Johnson led the Generals into Ford Field and silenced the Panthers, who were playing their first game in the state of Michigan in 39 years. Wow, that's a long overstayed return. And after 3 straight road games to enter the season, speaking of the New Jersey Generals, they play their first game in their hub city of Canton, Ohio, since the USFL semifinal versus the Philadelphia Stars last year. They host the undefeated New Orleans Breakers in Team Nine's Game of the Week. And speaking of Team Nine, my name's Ethan, and I got to introduce the rest of our crew. Say hi, boys. Say hi, Felix.
What's up, everyone? How you guys doing?
John.
What is going on? We here starting
So,
our USFL podcast.
yeah, so I'm going to get into that. I know you guys are taking AP exams right now, so you guys are going through a lot. Plus, this is our first week of doing 2 shows, an XFL and a USFL show. How does it feel? I know I'm tired and I'm not even in school right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an extra workload, but I love doing this. It's a lot of fun just talking with you boys, hanging out, discussing football, and of course, interacting with the fans. And I'm excited to get started on the USFL. It's a whole new journey, so definitely excited to get into it.
Yeah,
John, how you feeling?
I don't know.
Same thing. That's exactly.
Pretty much the same. Uh, AP exams, not too much. Not really doing intense studying for them.
I'm really
so I
studying.
got some time.
Yeah, I can't say I've been studying very much either, or at all, if I'm being honest, just because I'm a senior and I'm like getting that senioritis is kicking in hard. But I think everyone can relate at this point in the high school phase, so it is what
I
it
mean,
is.
even if you're a sophomore, you barely study. I'm just saying.
Yeah, actually, that's facts. Everyone's just cruising at this point. I mean, maybe juniors are tryharding still because that's actually like important for college. But
Yeah.
anyone else is just kind of cruising, especially seniors though, because like we're done really soon. So it's like whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys are handling the AP exam experience well. We will continue with this 2 show format for the next couple weeks here.
So,
All right.
I mean,
All right, John, do you want to lead us into our first game of week 3? I think we got to go to the 2-0 versus 2-0 showdown.
Yeah, so we got the Birmingham Stallions taking on the New Orleans Breakers in what was pretty much a shootout game, at least in the first half. It kind of slowed down after that, but it was a shootout because it ended 45-31 with the Breakers coming out on top.
Let's go.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, go ahead, go
um,
ahead.
yeah, okay. So, I mean, this was the highest scoring game in the USFL these past. This is a USFL record highest scoring game in the history of the USFL since going back to last year. I mean, we have to start at the top with West Hills, man. Chef West, King of the Hill, whatever you want to call him. I like Chef West. That's my nickname for him. Chef
That's a
West, man.
dope nickname, bro.
I know you like that, Chef West. I think we got to get shirts. 34 carries, 191 yards. That's a USFL record, as I mentioned at the top of the show, with a hat trick of touchdowns. I mean, it all starts with him, man. This guy is a freaking bruiser, dude. He came in the second quarter of the Gamblers game in week 2, and he has just studded out since then. 6 touchdowns. Now I think close to 400 yards, over 350 at this point. I mean, the guy's been a beast, John.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, he's putting up numbers that might get him into the NFL after the season's over. I mean, I know maybe we shouldn't be comparing the leagues, but when we look at the XFL and USFL, we got Wes Hills here, and he's really a star rusher. And then you got Abram Smith over on the DC Defenders in the XFL, and they both looking. Well, Abram Smith is pretty good, but Wes Hills is showing his, I don't know, capacity to be that number one rusher in the USFL.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I actually don't mind the comparison at all. I think it's a great thing to look at because that's what these teams are going to be looking at in the NFL.
Yeah.
And like, who do we invite to camp? I mean, we've already seen a bunch of guys get invited to camps, but like, who are we going to invite to camps? I mean, these are conversations that need to be had. But we also got to look at MacLeod Bethel Thompson, my QB, kind of a baby Fitz magic, you might call him. The guy's a journeyman. He's been in the CFL forever. Was with the Vikings in 2012, I want to say, with Kyle Rudolph. He was on the
Damn.
broadcast talking about that. What was that?
I said, damn, he's been around.
Yeah, he's been around, man. Yeah, he won a Grey Cup with the Blue Bombers, I want to say, Winnipeg of the CFL. No, but he finished. 20 for 28, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. But MacLeod, man, he plays like Fitzmagic or like even like a Josh Allen type. The guy, there was this run he had near the goal line. I think every week now I've counted. This guy has like tried to leap over like multiple defenders like every week now. Like this guy's putting his body on the line. We're in week 3. I love to see that in my QB. The guy's been a beast. And if we want to look at the Stallion side, Alex Magoo went 70 for 26, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Did a great job at getting out of the pocket and making plays, but the Breakers' pressure finally got to him.
Didn't he get, like, roughed up a bit? I saw that he kind of went out of the game for a bit.
Oh, he did. He did. Jalen Morton came into the game for a minute. I want to believe that was or it was in the second quarter, if I remember properly. He was only in for a couple plays. Magoo came back in. Obviously the Stallions trying to avoid another quarterback injury with Jamar Smith already out for the season, but Magoo taking a lot of hits last game. I think he'll be able to rebound. I'm still kind of I guess I'll get into it later because spoiler alert, we do have a Breakers segment now. I guess we'll focus on the Stallions here. John, for the Stallions, they won their week 2 match against the Memphis Showboats 42-2. And then they proceed to let up 45 points to the Breakers. That's got to be the quickest turnaround in football history, right? I mean, gee, goodness.
Yeah,
43-point differential?
It's just, I don't find it that surprising. I mean, the Memphis Showboats, the worst team in the league, 0-3 now after this week. And I mean, their defense is nothing good. They can't guard, I don't know, a parked car, bro.
They can't guard a parked car. That's my favorite saying in the book. All my concerns for the Breakers I'm going to save for later. Like I said, the Birmingham Stallions, I mean, offensively, you can't be mad at 31 points. At the end of the day, I think it's more on the defense. They just couldn't stop Wes, and then whenever the Breakers turned to the passing game, it was at the perfect time, and it just carved up this Stallions secondary. John, do you have anything else to add?
Not really. I think you said it all.
All right. Well, then we will get into our next game. Speaking of those Memphis Showboats, surprisingly, they're the only team that hasn't been able to show up. We'll say that. They're now 0-3 after falling to the Houston Gamblers. They came back in this game. They were down 10 in the fourth quarter at one point, and they came storming back, took the lead with under 2 minutes left. But then Kenji Bahar put together a really nice drive, escaped the pocket on this one play, found Justin Hall, who tiptoed the sideline, got the touchdown, his second of the day. Touchdown he had earlier was in the second quarter. He caught this slant drag ball over the middle, spun out of a tackle, reverse field, and got the touchdown. Justin Hall looks like their playmaker, John.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about that screen, right?
No, I was talking about but it was basically like a drag or a slant. And he did most of the work. I mean,
oh yeah,
it was the spin he did. It was
I think
crazy.
he had another one. He had a screen that went to him, and he just kind of went through and got a touchdown off of that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I think it was either that or a big gain. It was one of those two.
Yeah, I don't know. It was one of the two, like you said, and I mean that screen Honestly, I didn't think it actually was one of the perfect play calls. I just didn't think it would get to the end zone, but he put on a few jukes on some of the linebackers and cornerbacks. Then he just turned on those afterburners to get down there.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Showboats offense, Kenji Bahar, 22 for 36, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Great ending to the game, so you can't be really mad with him there. He got the dub. If we want to look at the rushing, welcome back, Mark Thompson. This guy was a beast last year in the USFL, and he's back for the Gamblers. 21 carries, 81 yards, two freaking tutties, dude. This guy is a hard-nosed runner.
Yeah, I mean, great to see. Kind of maybe reminding me of Jaquez Patrick from the Brahmas over in the
Yeah,
USFL.
just a little bit, just a little bit. I think I'd rather have Mark just the way his consistency so far. He's actually a great compliment to TJ Pledger. He had only 4 carries, 44 yards. He had been the bell cow the first 2 weeks while Thompson was out with an injury, but he's back in the lineup now, and things are looking a lot better on the Gamblers side. We gotta mention the big play, the throw right down the seam to Josh Peterson to set up that Justin Hall touchdown. Justin Hall finished 6 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns on 8 targets. Josh Peterson, 4 catches, 63 yards on 6 targets. Peterson is the son of current Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson. We saw him at a game a couple weeks ago. But John, I mean, now with Mark Thompson back, you think this Gamblers offense looks like it's getting together at the right time. Do you think the Gamblers can go on a run here?
I do think they can. I mean, they got their first win here, and they're gonna. I mean, I know it's kind of early to be talking about playoffs, but there are only 10 games, so they're gonna have to start winning a few here to try and get to that playoff record, which is hopefully a winning record, but it might not be.
You might. Hey, look at the Arlington Renegades. A lot of
Yeah.
XFL references on the show so far. For the Memphis Showboats, we're gonna have to look at them here. They're now 0-3. They're the talk, well, not the talk of Memphis, but they're the talk of our show right now. So I do want to start with Cole Kelly. He replaced Brady White, which I know Brady White was the Memphis kid. He went to Memphis. He was a Memphis Tiger. He played in that stadium. So the big storyline is, oh, look how good Cole Kelly is. Well, I mean, not Cole Kelly. Brady White is. Blah blah blah. But Cole Kelly has looked like the better quarterback so far. This kid is 6'7", and it pops out as soon as you first see him on the field. The guy was freaking tall as heck. Anyway, Cole Kelly, we saw a little bit of him in week 1. He actually got the Showboats on the board with a field goal in week 1 that I remember was like, or a field goal drive. And I was like, and then they took him out for Brady White in the second half. I didn't understand why there. And then after that disgusting 42-2 loss to the Birmingham Stallions, in which their offense did absolutely zilch nada. They turned to Cole Kelly. He got a little bit of action in that game, but he comes in this game. This is his first start. 21 for 38, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He threw a touchdown that gave the Showboats the lead in the final 2 minutes. So Cole Kelly, I honestly do think he's definitely their guy to go with, right?
100%. I mean, I'm just going back to his height there. I mean, I noticed it instantly right when he came on the field. Just he was like 5 inches taller than the coach while he was talking to him. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. But yeah, he's got to be their guy. I mean, they trusted him quite a lot here as he threw for 38 times, only completed 21 of those. But you know, it's his first.
It's his first start.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's definitely the guy. And I actually really liked what Memphis was doing on offense this game. They had a few trick plays, and they had that Wildcat play.
Oh, I was about to get into that.
With
Yeah.
Alex Collins throwing it to... I don't remember.
It was JJ Wilson, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
JJ Wilson, the tight end. We'll get into that. We'll do that right now. On the goal line, 4th and goal, Cole Kelly lines up under center. The center snaps the ball through his legs, which is just unbelievable. I've never seen that play design before. And the ball gets to Alex Collins. Looks like he's about to run. And J.J. Wilson slips out of a block. He's a tight end. Slips out of the block. Collins throws it to him in the end zone for the Showboats touchdown to keep them in the game. I mean, that was probably the only positive thing to come out of Alex Collins' night. The guy, he finished with 8 attempts and -2 yards. John, Oh, I mean, Alex Collins has been so good this year. I mean, the only thing that has kept the Showboats even afloat. Look at that! I made a little boat pun. I didn't even notice. I made a boat pun, and I didn't even notice. I'm on a roll today. Anyway, he really kept them afloat in that Stars game. He was his running, his power running. The Stars really couldn't tackle him. Kind of like a Wes Hills type, a little bit slower, a little bit more hard nosed running. But I've seen week two the Showboats offense didn't really do anything, and then in this one he couldn't really do anything. No wonder Cole Kelly finished 21 for 38. He had no run game, and he was getting pressured by the Gamblers defense. John, what do the Showboats have to do to get Alex Collins going?
Well, they got to establish that run game, but they had it going on a bit earlier to the start of it's still the start of the season, but in the first few
Stars
games
game.
they had it going.
Definitely the Stars game. The
Yeah,
Stars game was
definitely
the
that
one where I
one.
was like,
They
that
had it
was because
going,
that was the
and
game that they were actually in, so they
yeah,
could actually establish the run without having to worry about trying to keep a lead. Definitely, yeah, I mean, in altogether, I mean, 38 pass attempts to doing my math here, 15 rushing attempts. I mean, that's just not a good ratio, I think, if you want to be a winning football team. They were right in this game, right down to the wire, but you got to have some variety in your play calling. Houston took advantage and just pinned their pass rushers pinned their ears back and were just going in the backfield every single time and sacking Kelly.
yeah, and then four of those rushes came from Cole Kelly, which are probably on
Right.
scrambles, so can't really
Yeah,
count
they
those
were. They
as
were.
running plays.
Yeah, he's definitely not a designed runner guy. Definitely more of a mostly because he was running for his life. That was really why he
Yeah.
was getting out of the pocket.
But
But
I do think that Memphis had a good, like, offensive play design in this game. They did put up, 26 points? So, I mean, it's not bad, especially for them. Maybe their offense is finding feet. It's their defense that's really got to step up.
right, I definitely think the Houston secondary is a little weak,
Yeah.
especially compared to last year. Last year they were really good. They had Will Likely, um, and then I mean
He's
their
now in the
linebacker core
XFL.
was really good. Now he's in the XFL, and they had a really good linebacking core. That really was that back that was really good. But it seems like the front seven is better for them this year. The secondary has fallen off a little bit with some players leaving, like Will Likely. So that'll be something that I think teams are going to look to attack in the future. All right, I think we're ready to go to the Maulers and the Stars. John, you want to kick us off on this one?
Alrighty, so we got, like you said, Pittsburgh Maulers at or I guess they kind of. Anyways, never mind. The Pittsburgh Maulers versus the Philadelphia Stars. Here we saw Pittsburgh get their first win of the season so far. They went into this 0-2 against the 1-1 Philadelphia Stars. The ending score was 21-13. I mean, Pittsburgh, I think their defense really carried them as their offense. They had some drives put together, but they just couldn't finish them as their kicker had 5 field goals, you said earlier?
Yeah, Chris Blue with a USFL record 5 field goals. He was your special teams player of the week.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be able to finish some of these drives, or else they're not going to be able to compete against some of these higher scoring teams like Birmingham and New Orleans.
Yeah, so if we just want to look at this up front, the Maulers, again, I said this was their first win since week 5 of 2022. That's 350 days without a win, which is
That is crazy.
almost a year. That is unbelievable. But it comes against the Philadelphia Stars, who went to the USFL went to the USFL finals last year, the championship game, and they nearly won it against the Birmingham Stallions. John, what has gone wrong for them so far?
Um, well, in this game, at least Case Cookers, he threw 2 interceptions, which is never great, and they haven't really had much of a run game going on.
Yeah, I for definitely their run game has been non-existent. I forget the stat. Let me look for it here. I want to say they haven't even ran for like 23 yards in a game or something. No. So no back has gained more than 31 yards in any game for the Stars offense. That is unbelievable. No running game to help Case Cookasaw, nothing to complement that passing game. And when it comes to the pass rush, this offensive line has been terrible. And even in the running game, no wonder they can't get any rushing going on. This offensive line has been terrible. Case Cook is coming off this injury. You think that his offensive line would want to protect him a little bit more. They have not done that. I mean, Cookus feels like every time he throws the ball, he's getting hit. It doesn't matter if it's a sack or if he gets it off. I mean, it just does not matter. It seems like Cookus is always getting hit. And this was probably the worst team to run into. The Pittsburgh Maulers have probably the best front seven so far
Yeah,
in the USFL.
I know. And on top of the two interceptions he had a fumble too off that pressure that came in. So I don't know. It's just a lot going wrong at the front of Philadelphia, and then that just hurts their whole production in the running and passing game.
Yeah, I mean Philadelphia's secondary has not, or their defense in general has not been great. They have Channing Stribling on the edge, who was the USFL leader in picks last year, but I know he had one in the first game this year. It was the first interception of the entire USFL this year. But that defense didn't really do them. Well, I mean, they it was a bend but don't break kind of game.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what Pittsburgh's offense is. Pittsburgh started Troy Williams in this game. This was his first start of the season, more of a rushing quarterback. He finished 10 for 18, 96 yards and a touchdown. The only really outside ball they had was off that Case Cookus interception. He threw it into the end zone to Bailey Gaither for a nice touchdown, but it was in the red zone. It wasn't anything super deep. It was within 20 yards. So the Maulers offense is definitely nothing to be impressed about. But that defense has been incredible. In fact, they were led by Reuben Foster, the former Redskins and 49ers linebacker of the NFL, first round draft pick. Is your USFL Defensive Player of the Week. He had an interception, 5 solo tackles, 6 assisted, with 11 total tackles. And then that interception, like I said, in the fourth quarter, which is crazy for a linebacker.
What a game for him.
Yeah, I mean, John, is he in the MVP race the way he's been playing these first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I guess you gotta be. I mean, the one thing that's keeping your team in the game, right? But sadly, I'm not sure he can win MVP, so maybe we're going for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that might be good. I know I trying to hype him up a little bit because he has been really really good.
Yeah.
But when Wes Hills wins back to back, my Breakers running back wins back to back Offensive Players of the Week, I think it's going to be pretty hard to top him. Pretty good week for Pittsburgh overall. They win the Defensive Player of the Week and they have the Special Teams Player of the Week. They get the win, their first win in 305 days. I mean, definitely for Pittsburgh, not really any downfield passing game to be worried about. Everything is within, 10, 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. So that's, not great
Yeah.
for them.
Sounded
And for
like
Philadelphia,
a
you
Matt
just,
Canada offense. God damn.
for sure. And for Philadelphia, just can't hold up on the offensive line. It's all built on the offensive line. Remind me of the Rams last year and their fall off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time that we go to the New Jersey Generals and the Michigan Panthers game in Detroit. John, do you want to start us off here?
Sure. So, in Detroit, we're playing at Ford Field here, so an NFL stadium. If you can get there, probably a great experience.
For sure.
But here we saw Michigan take their first loss of the season as they came in 2-0, and the New Jersey Generals came in 1-1. It was a 28 for the Generals and 13 for the Panthers. So not a lot of offense going for them there. I just think the Generals really had everything clicking for them, especially with DeAndre Johnson, a more mobile quarterback coming in.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start on the general side and then we'll end negative. Boo. For the frickin' Panthers. Anyway, so I think it starts early, really, with DeAndre Johnson. DeAndre Johnson, he has never really been a deep ball quarterback. He was a complimentary guy to Luis Perez last year. Now in the XFL, look at that. Now in the championship game, look at that. Look how all this comes together. It's crazy. Anyway, DeAndre Johnson, he seems to be the starter going forward here. He finished 10 for 15, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty solid game. He also had a great job running, 10 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. He had a nice off a play action boot that he had, and he managed to dive in for that touchdown. So for Johnson, honestly, I think it all starts to get him clicking. That's where their offense is going to start.
Oh yeah.
And it comes down to their play calling. It was a lot of play action, bootlegs, read options, running plays with Darius Victor, who was the reigning offensive player of the year. He finished 9 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And then receiving wise, he also had a touchdown. One catch off a screen, 51 yards for the to the house for a touchdown. So for Darius Victor, I mean, 10 total touches. To be honest with you, I don't think that's enough. I know they won this game and pretty handily as well. But John, I think that Darius Victor needs more touches, man.
Yeah, he definitely does, but when you have that kind of more mobile quarterback, you're definitely going to see a less touches go for the running back as they're definitely incorporating those read options I saw. So that's just going to be
Sure.
something they got to work with, and I think they will get him more carries going forward, but it's just going to be one of those things where he might not get as many as he always needs because of a mobile quarterback.
We saw we actually saw a quarterback power play with DeAndre Johnson too,
Yeah.
who had a huge run on that, which set up his touchdown later. So I think now it's time we get to the Michigan Panthers side. Their first game in the state of Michigan in 39 years, as I mentioned at the top of the show, nearly 4 decades, which is crazy. Anyway, I mean, they've been the biggest surprise this USFL season. They finished last year near the bottom of the league. They had 2 wins. They went finished 2-8 under Jeff Fisher and Paxton Lynch, another XFL reference. Look at that. It just again it all
Yeah.
connects. I don't know. It's just how it works, man. But Josh Love has been a great surprise so far. He's been so good. This game, not so much.
Not
15
much
for
of a
31.
surprise.
Yeah, not much of a well, yeah, not much of a surprise this game, I guess. 15 for 31, 101 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. Carson Strong came in. Looks like I mean maybe Michigan has like a quarterback competition on their hands here. He came in for a drive, four completions on 9 attempts for 62 yards and a touchdown. He did lead the touchdown drive for them. Um, John, is there concern for a quarterback battle here, or is Josh Love still got the reins? You think?
I gotta think he has the starting job for at least one more week here. I mean, he's been their guy the first 2 weeks, so I think you gotta stick with what's worked, like the majority of the time. 2 and 3. I mean, or 2 out of 3 times. Not bad, you know. I mean, if they keep that up, they'll have a winning record ultimately. So I think he'll have the reins for the next game, but if not much comes out of that, Carson Strong is gonna definitely be in the running to take his spot.
Definitely, especially since you're going up against the Memphis Showboats this week
Yeah,
at home too against your home. Now you have a home crowd. Like there's no excuse if you lose next week, and it would probably be
exactly.
because of a Josh Love, another bad Josh Love game. But I really don't think this is all on Josh Love. I think this is more on the play calling. Um, so it felt like as soon as coming out of the gate, the Panthers tried to throw it and just keep Josh Love hot. But I think the way that he's been heating up in these games is they started off with a slower approach with the run game using Reggie Corbin, their star running back, and then kind of transitioning into the pass in like the third and fourth quarter and letting Josh Love cook when it matters most, and that's when he's been good. But I felt like they were calling so many pass plays early that New Jersey's pass rushers just kind of pinned their ears back and started coming and pressuring Love, and he couldn't really get the ball off. Reggie Corbin finished 8 for 38. Not a great stat line. He did get hurt, and their backup Stevie Scott had to come in to finish this game. 12 carries, 63 yards. We don't really have a word on where Reggie Corbin's stats is going to be this next week against the Showboats. Stevie Scott did look pretty good. He was on this team last year. Cuffed Corbin last year. He was his backup. But honestly, I wouldn't be worried too much about the Showboats next week, but just something to keep your eye on, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that'll be something interesting to see how it moves forward. Yeah, they have not added Richie, Reggie Corbin
Reggie
to the
Corbin.
inactive list yet. So we'll see what
Okay, so
happens.
it might have just been a precautionary thing because they're
Yeah,
basically out of the game. At that point, it was like a two-possession game. I know with the fourth and 12, anything's possible now. We've seen it in the XFL. But, I think they said, hey, listen, we got a big game next week where we just got to win, so let's just keep them healthy, get the win next week, and keep moving. All right, well, I think it's time to get into our power rankings. Felix, do you have our power rankings up?
Yes, I do right here. Just let me pull them up real quick. I got them right
Uh,
here. Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah, let's hop right in. So, heading into week 4, obviously, we missed a couple weeks here because we took a little break, but these are the first power rankings for both John and Ethan. So I'll just go over them real quick. In first place for both John and Ethan, we have the New Orleans Breakers.
Let's go.
Second, yes, let's go Breakers. In second place, both John and Ethan are also on the same page with the Birmingham Stallions. In third place, once again on the same page, New Jersey Generals for both of them. In fourth place, we have the Michigan Panthers for both of them again. Fifth place is where it deviates. John has the Pittsburgh Maulers in fifth, while
Wow,
Ethan has,
wow.
yeah, I know, bold. And Ethan has the Philadelphia Stars. In sixth
Mhm.
place, another deviation. John has the Philadelphia Stars, and Ethan has the Houston Gamblers.
Okay.
In seventh, John has the Houston Gamblers, and Ethan has the Maulers. And then once again, they're on the same page for eighth place, the Memphis Showboats. So why don't
Wow,
you guys just
wow,
hop in, talk about your
wow.
decisions? Yeah, go for it.
All right. Um, so John, I guess we'll touch on the I think we'll touch on the top three here first. Pretty I mean clean cut orders so far. Well, obviously we have a big game this week between the Breakers and the Generals, but I think this is definitely the way to go, right? This is the top three for sure.
Oh yeah, they've been the top teams for sure, and then the Generals just showed they were top three after they beat the Panthers, right? So
Yeah, our top four is the same. Never mind. So yeah, I think that's definitely the top four though. I think Michigan has earned the right to be in that top four, even after the New Jersey loss.
yeah,
So I guess we get into the one that made me go wow because that was I couldn't believe when I heard it. The Pittsburgh Maulers, they had won a game in 300 days, John. 300, what was it, 350? I said that's a long time. John, what has you have still high on the Maulers?
that defense I think is gonna keep them in a lot of games, and hopefully that offense can start getting some, and I think they will start getting their legs under them and start putting together touchdown drives rather than having 5 field goals like they did last week.
Are you concerned about Troy Williams at quarterback since he's more of a runner and just hasn't really shown the deep ball ability yet?
Not really. I think with a week of practice under his belt, he'll get better at it and just get more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean that defense is definitely scary, and I can definitely see where you're coming from there. Maybe I'm riding too much on last year. The Philadelphia Stars, like I said, coming lost the championship game last year, but had such a good end of their season run. Um, I mean, one of the things that I've learned that I don't think that teams can fix. I guess I'm going against my power rankings here. But it's something that you can't really fix mid-season is the offensive line. Like that just doesn't happen a lot. If you have a bad offensive line at the beginning of the season, you're probably going to have one at the end. I, of course, am a Rams fan, so I've experienced this. We were so good, and then once
It's Whitworth
our big
left.
boy, big witty left. I mean, like we've gotten worse and worse. We lost so many offensive linemen, and that just doesn't change overnight. You just either have a bad offensive line or you have a good one. And I guess Philadelphia just does not have a good offensive line. The Maulers have been doing really good up front on both sides of the ball, so I can see where you're coming from. I think I trust Case Cookus to get it right, which maybe that's a bad thing because right now he has no help.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how good a quarterback is, it doesn't matter if they have a shitty O line. So
Yeah, and they did beat them this past weekend, so I definitely see where you're coming from there. All right, I think we move on to our next spot. You have the Stars, I have the Gamblers at six.
what
What's
made
your
you
what's
take the
your
Gamblers at 6?
I actually took the Gamblers at six. I didn't have them over Philly. It was more so the offense definitely. I think maybe I'm buying in a little bit too much last year, but I think I'm still trusting that. I know the league has parity. It definitely seems like there's a lot of parity in this league so far. Like there's not really like obviously other than the Breakers, not really one team that like stands out from the rest.
Yeah.
But it seems like but I'm trusting in last year and the return of Mark Thompson, I think, is bigger than people are bringing up. People aren't going to talk about Houston because they're 1-2, and it's just not the sexy team to talk about right now. The sexy team to talk about is my New Orleans Breakers, but the the Gamblers, I think the return of Mark Thompson is huge. That's going to be a great bell cow in that backfield with TJ. Kenji Bahar has been pretty good so far, and I think Justin Hall has been really good. And I think the pass rush is better than people think. The back end is that great? No, but I think if they can get to play people like they did this past weekend against Memphis, I think that they'll continue to win football games.
It's fair.
John, what makes you put the Stars in front of the Gamblers? Because that's what kind of what the debate is. Because I have the
Yeah.
that's pretty much the debate right now.
Uh, I don't know. I've just seen more stuff that I like from the Stars than I have Houston. I mean, they won their first game earlier than Houston did, so they have some type of scheme going on that has worked in the past. Houston just put together their first win, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think I just need to see another game from the Gamblers like the one they had last week.
Yeah, I mean they competed with. If we want to talk about just who they've played so far, they keep every game close. That's really been the story of the Gamblers. Even going back to last year, they keep every game close. They just were very unlucky last year and didn't get the breaks to go their way. They played the Panthers in week one this year. They kept it close until Josh Love cooked at the end of the game. In week two, they played the Breakers all the way down to the wire. And then this past week they got their first win, so I think they can if a couple of those balls bounce their way, I think they could be 2-1 or 3-0 right now, and you never know how.
Yeah.
But I think Houston could be right there with the best of them. They can compete with anybody. I think before we talk about the Memphis Showboats, I'm going to talk about the Pittsburgh Maulers. I like what you were saying about the Maulers because it's a league of mistakes, I think, and that's what both these leagues are about, especially early right now.
Yeah,
It's a league of
exactly.
mistakes. So, and it's mostly by the offense. So, interceptions, fumbles, and that's what Pittsburgh has been able to take advantage of so far. But that offense later down the stretch scares me because as the season goes on, teams begin to heat up. Last year, Philadelphia was not that great. But in the second half of the season, they went on a huge run to take them all the way to the championship game. So down the stretch, right now, I like Pittsburgh, but as these teams get more accustomed to the schemes and they didn't really have a lot of preseason practice or anything like that. Like it's once these teams get in the flow of the game, I'm scared that Pittsburgh's going to fall behind early.
Yeah, I could see that. And yeah, that's fair. Don't really have much
And
else to say
then
about that.
I think it's time that we talk about the
Stinker of the
Memphis,
league.
yeah, the stink of the league, the Memphis Showboats. Let's get a 3 gun salute. The Memphis Showboats now 0-3. Um, Alex Collins, obviously his name jumps off the page looking at the roster. And what do they need to do to right the ship here? No pun intended. God, the puns are so easy.
There,
The puns
there's,
are so easy.
there's. You're
They're just
staying on
coming to me
track with
today.
them, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I think it all starts with that defense. I mean, if you can't stop a team, I don't know what they let. Do you know what they let up the first week? I'll pull
The
it up.
first week, it was probably
They
it
let
it
up
was like 20 to
27.
30. Yeah, not great. And the
So
entire game they were basically terrible until the end. They got one stop to give their offense a chance, but that was it.
they have not let up lower than 27 points.
Yeah. I like it's kind of like the offensive line where it's like if you have a bad offensive line, you're just going to have a bad offensive line. If you have a bad defense, I just think you're going to have a bad defense. I don't
Yeah.
know what they can really do to fix that. I think it'd really just be trying to outscore people.
Yeah, and I think their offense did
Similar to the
gain a
run.
bit of ground this week with some different types of play calls. But I don't know. We'll really just have we'll really just have to see what happens going into next week. It'll be interesting. I think one thing Memphis can do is maybe try to sign or trade for a corner back or something like that. I don't know. They got to try to do something.
Yeah, I do want to bring up Todd Haley because he's also been I don't know if you want to call it a highlight or a low light so far for this team. Um, Highlight for entertainment purposes, low light for maybe winning football games.
Yeah.
Todd Haley, the head coach of the Memphis Showboats, whenever they lost, following their loss to the Birmingham Stallions, 42-2 in week two, a lot of twos in that
Yeah.
sentence. Anyway, he went up to Coach Skip Holt's post game, and it looked like he was they had a mic, so there's a clip of him basically arguing with Skip Holtz about running up the score in that game, which just seems, I don't know. I mean, there's kind of an interesting interaction. And then this past weekend, he runs right up to Curtis Johnson, the head coach of the Gamblers, following their narrow defeat, and he refused to shake hands with him. Basically he said that he accused the Houston Gamblers coaches and staff and players of spying on them while they practice. They're in the same hub city, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
The tensions were already going to be high between these two teams. But John, how do you feel about this? Like this is two meltdowns or two breakdowns at post game in a row. I mean, what do we think about this?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of, I'm kind of getting the vibes of a sore loser here. Uh,
Yeah.
no real, like, competitive honor, I guess, in a sense. But I don't know. Felix, you usually have some good thoughts on these controversies. You got any thoughts for us?
Yeah, John. Yeah, go Felix.
Um, Not really, honestly.
That's fair.
uh,
I
yeah.
mean, think about. I mean, they've just dropped to 0-3, and the last two games, your head coach has gone to the other coach, like basically arguing
Yeah.
with him and screaming at him after you guys got blown out and then
Well,
just narrowly lost and choked in the final
I
seconds. I
guess
mean,
this is kind of what I have to say. I think he has to stop. If I have to say anything, he has to stop. I think he's clearly an emotional guy, which, nothing against him. I think a lot of us are, and in the heat of the moment, things can kind of just, like come out of nowhere. So I think that happens to a lot of us, and I completely understand. But again, when you look at it from like a professional perspective, you kind of have to understand like it's just not the right thing to do or the best thing to do in that scenario. And not only just in terms of public relations and how you look to everyone else, but also just on a simple level of sportsmanship.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of got to draw a line somewhere. And also, just in terms of your team, like you got to stop directing the blame on like other teams and instead direct the blame onto yourself because that's how you improve at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's
yeah, I
what
think
I
that's what
was
you're
gonna
supposed to do.
say, actually.
I think that's what you're supposed to really do as a coach too. Like it's obviously not
Yeah,
lighting a fire under his players' bellies. Like they're 0-3. I got a tweet here
exactly. I mean,
from
you're a
Matt.
leader.
Yeah, I got a tweet here from Matt underscore infield. He's a sports anchor reporter. Um, and he goes to the University of South Florida. Look at him. He's a New Yorker too. I don't know how that correlates. Anyway, I just read
Well,
his Twitter bio for you. Anyway, I got a tweet here. He said, in case you missed it on the airing of the fifth quarter, I guess it's like a podcast. He said he's wearing all his Showboats gear and stuff. It says, turns out Todd Haley had pretty good reason to confront Houston Gamblers head coach post game on Saturday. The Showboats caught Gamblers personnel and players watching their practice during the week. Never got an apology either, apparently. I mean it's a pretty interesting I guess what do you call that accusation? But we don't really have any evidence of this happening, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm scared to jump the gun, especially after our Quentin Dormady situation earlier
Yeah.
here. So I'm not going to say anything about it now. I'm just going to say that's
yeah,
very
seriously.
interesting. And Todd, you probably got to calm down, man, because your team's 0-3, and obviously the aggressive approach isn't really working.
Exactly. If not for yourself in the public eye, to be a leader for the team, more importantly, just, cool things off a little bit and maybe take a step back.
Yeah, I think you really got to accept that blame as a head coach. I know you guys touched upon this before,
100%.
but it's just such an important thing to, like, he's not being a leader, or maybe he is, but it's not a good leader, at least if he's projecting the blame somewhere else and not physically telling his players how they can get better or how the team can get better as a whole.
Exactly. And I understand it can be frustrating, but sometimes you have to take a step back before you can move forward. So I think
Exactly.
that's just kind of what the Showboats have to do as a whole right now. And I think it's up to the coach to kind of take that first step in leading his team in that direction.
Yeah,
Clearly happening at the moment.
I think that's everything for our week 4 power rankings. Good discussions, guys.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Ethan touched upon this earlier in the show, and he's kind of just been talking about it while we went over the Breakers game. But he is a big New Orleans Breakers fan, and now we are going to give him a minute to break down the Breakers. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so far our offensive leaders, we lead the league in passing with MacLeod Bethel Thompson, we lead the league in rushing with West Hills, and we lead the league in receiving with Sage Surratt. Offense looks great so far. I'm a little concerned about if we get pressured, kind of like what Pittsburgh did to us in the first week. We kind of got slowed down in that game. So I'm a little bit scared about that. Like if New Jersey sends pressure this next week, I'm a little scared. But other than that, I think we're good. Defense is actually very scary. I mean, our pass rush, they've been doing what they need to do sometimes. Our run game play is fine, but our secondary, we've been really underperforming. Like guys, like I feel like Neville Clark had a really good first week, and he's kind of fallen off a cliff since then. So that concerns me. The biggest concern though is special teams, and it's not because of our kicker. He's been amazing so far. The name's escaping me. I only have a minute here. But our kickoff coverage is horrible. Our punt coverage is horrible. We need to be so much better. We've already given up 2 return touchdowns, a punt and a kickoff return touchdown already. That is not very good. We need to clean that up. Okay, I think I got it all. I think we got it all there. I think I got everything out. That was all the Breakers analysis. That was our Breakers breakdown right there. All right.
Great.
Yeah, not bad. I think it's time for the look ahead. Felix.
Let's go for it. Okay, so heading into week 4, which begins this Saturday, May 6th. We have 4 games, obviously, 2 on Sunday, 2 on Saturday. For our Saturday games, we have the Houston Gamblers, the 1-2 Houston Gamblers, going in to play the 1-2 Philadelphia Stars at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, and that is going to be at 1:12 Central on Fox. And then later that day, the Memphis Showboats, who are 0-3, are going to go also into Ford Field to play the 2-1 Michigan Panthers. That is going to be at 7:30, 6:30 Central on NBC, but it will also be streaming on Peacock. So those will be our Saturday games this weekend, Saturday, May 6th. And then heading into Sunday, May 7th, we have the 3-0 New Orleans Breakers going into the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio, to play the 2-1 New Jersey Generals at 3:02 Central. Also going to be on NBC, but streaming on Peacock. And then for our last game of week 4, we have the 2-1 Birmingham Stallions going once again Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio, to play the Pittsburgh Maulers, who are 1-2. That is going to be at 6:30, 5:30 Central. On FS1. So yeah.
Great job, Felix. I'd also like to mention that the Breakers Generals game will be we are deeming that our Team 9 game of the week. I swear I'm not biased. Basically, our Team 9 game of the week basically states it's our Team 9 game of the week concept basically says that if you can only make time to watch one game this weekend, that's the game you're going to want to watch. It's the 3-0 Breakers, the last undefeated team in the USFL, and it's the 2-1 Generals who now lead the USFL North. So that is a big game.
Once again,
on NBC.
Yep, Sunday, May 7th, NBC. We're streaming on Peacock, 3:02 Central. Enjoy that game. Yeah.
I sure will. At least I hope so. All right.
Don't worry, Breakers won't be game of the week every damn time. Maybe, but
well, if we win this week, I'll have to see what we play the next week.
If they are, there might be a little bias.
Be. If they stay undefeated, they will be. It
Depends
will
who they
be
play.
natural.
That's true. Depends who we play. Depends who we play.
If they play like the Showboats, I mean, obviously.
Okay, that's just the biggest mismatch ever, and I think we just need to make it the game of the week just because.
Yeah,
right?
true. Look,
that might be. We might see a little bit of bias here.
we might see a little bias, but for now,
I promise I won't. I promise I won't. All right,
Okay.
time for our week 4 Ticket Tycoon segment, hosted by John. John, take it away, my man.
So, as Ethan said, this is Ticket Tycoon, and welcome to my rant on ticket prices, and I will break down everything you need to know about tickets in the USFL for every week. So, to start out, we're going chronologically here. Saturday, May 6th, you're going to see the Houston Gamblers taking on the Philadelphia Stars in Ford Field, which is in Detroit, Michigan. You might be surprised to hear that, but we do have 4 hub cities here. If you were not listening to Felix break down the, what's it called? The week ahead, a look ahead, yes. Anyways, so in this Philadelphia Stars game, they are playing in Ford Field, and the tickets are $10. But the catch is you don't get to pick your seat, and they're all general admission. So I don't exactly know how that's gonna work, but that's how it's
I,
gonna work.
I can explain it. So general admission, you're probably going to want if you want like the best seat possible for a general admission, you're probably going to want to get there as soon as the gates open, get there a little bit early if you want the best possible seat, and you can pick whatever seat you want because you're the first one in, basically. So I'd
Okay.
look to see when the gates open up for you that specific venue.
Yeah, I think I saw that all venues, the parking opens 4 hours before the game starts, so that's kind of crazy. But the gates to the stadium open 90 minutes before the game starts, so yeah, get there 90 minutes before game time, and you'll be able to pick your seat and get a great seat for $10 plus Ticketmaster's fees, which suck ass. Uh, Moving in to our next game here, which is Memphis playing Michigan, also Saturday. So it's also in Ford Field, which is in Detroit, like I said earlier. Uh, it's the same day, a few hours after the Stars game, so you are gonna have to buy two. You're gonna have to buy tickets to the Stars game and to the Panthers game if you want to see both. But for the Panthers game, you're actually gonna be able to pick your tickets here. And again, they start out as low as $10, as I think the USFL has set a minimum ticket price on all tickets for the league here. But yeah, so the tickets start as low as $10, and they're only selling the 100s, and I don't believe they're selling the end zones either. So you're either gonna be in the corners, and that's gonna start moving in towards the 50-yard line. So in the corners, that's where you're gonna see your $10 tickets. In the middle, you're gonna see your more $20 tickets that are pretty good tickets, and then if you want to get really close, I think you're gonna see like more expensive ones, like what's it called, $60, I believe. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But $60 to experience a game in the in an NFL stadium, not too shabby if I do say so myself. Next game on the list, we got our Canton, Ohio games. On Sunday, May 7th, we have the New Orleans Breakers taking on the New Jersey Generals at Canton, Ohio's Hall of Fame Stadium. Or the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. My bad. So here, again, they have a low ticket price of $10. And again, they are not selling the whole stadium, but they are selling suites here, which is
Ooh.
something interesting. Your low tickets are
I
going to
say,
be on the yard line, right? So on the yard line, on the like the 10-yard line or the 20-yard line, that's where your $10 tickets are going to be located. In the suites, we are looking at more expensive ones. So that is something to just keep in mind. Yeah, those are going to be pretty expensive. The ones in the suites are $85. again, not too bad if you want to
That's not too
experience
bad. That's not
this.
too bad, honestly, for a suite.
Yeah,
I have to
exactly.
see let's see what they offer, but still,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good deal. Yeah,
it's a good
exactly. I
deal.
don't know what
Considering
these.
stadium food prices, pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you gotta assume they have food there, of course, 'cause that's usually what these suites have is some sort of buffet or
You would
like a
assume so,
or
right?
something. Right, right.
So yeah, that's it there. Towards the what's it called? The 50-yard line, the tickets are going to be more expensive, upwards of 30, $40, but nothing too expensive to see one of these games in Tom Benson's Hall of Fame field, which is where the NFL plays a Hall of Fame game every year, I believe.
Yes, you would be correct on that. It is the set. I'd call it the center of the football universe. The Hall of Fame is amazing. The Pro Football Hall of Fame. Definitely go if you're in town.
Yeah, you could
All
make that a
right.
little day trip. Go to the game and then go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you got two games too. Yeah, that'd be a
Yeah.
great trip. I'd love that. All right. Thank you, John, for that. That
Oh,
was
we got
great
another
breakdown
game
there.
though.
Oh, we do. Okay, keep
Yeah.
going. Keep cooking.
We got the Birmingham Stallions against the Pittsburgh Maulers. Last game of the week, May 7th, a Sunday, a few hours after the, what's it called? The Stars game. Ticket price is pretty much the same as the Stars game. You're going to see $10 on the yard lines like the 10 and 20. You're going to see $40 on the home side of the field at the 50. You're going to see a $40 ticket there, and then the suites again are like $85. So I mean, still good prices. It would be a great experience. Again, make a day trip, go to both games and maybe the Hall of Fame. See if you can do all that. That's a pretty big day, but would be a fun trip. That's the end of the Ticket Tycoon segment.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I love the idea of that trip. That sounds awesome. All right. I think it's time that we go into our Vegas View segment, my favorite segment of the week, where we predict games based on the betting line. So we're going to start here on Saturday. It's the Houston Gamblers and the Philadelphia Stars at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. The Philadelphia Stars are favored by 2.5 in this game. They're the quote unquote home team. And the over under is at 46.5. John, you just talked a lot, so I'm going to give you a break. Honestly, in this one, the Stars, I know I had them on my power rankings at 5, which is just outside that top 4. But honestly, that Stars offensive line scares me against a Houston pass rush that really pinned their ears back last week against the Memphis Showboats. So Houston has been known to keep every game close, and I think this is one that they're going to get away with. Definitely consider that Houston spread, but I'm going to go balls to the walls. I'm going to take that Houston money line as well. And the over under in this game. I mean, the in this game, I'm scared about that Houston defense. That's the only thing that really scares me off the Gamblers. They've allowed 29, 38, and 26 in their first 3 games. Um, but the Gamblers also put up 31 against that Breakers defense, who were the best in the league last year. The Stars' lack of running game also scares me if you're going to pick them. But I think they'll get that passing game going because the back end on Houston has not been very good, like I said. So I'm going to take the over there.
Alrighty. Uh, I'm gonna say I'm gonna take Philadelphia to cover the spread, and it's such a low spread that I kind of gotta take them to win as well.
Well, they're favored Philadelphia, so yeah, if
Well,
you're
yeah,
taking the spread,
that's what I meant.
you're taking the money line too.
Yeah, doing both of those, and I'm gonna go the under here. I don't know, just something about it screams the under to me. Also, all the odds are brought to you by FoxBet, the one they use on the broadcast.
Right. Thank you, John. I forgot to mention that. Thank you. I was so getting ahead of myself there. All right. Yeah. I mean, I was trying to skip over Ticket Tycoon as well. I'm just all over the place right now. All right. I'm gonna blame the espresso anyway. Uh, Next game, Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers. Panthers. This is really a home game for them. They're favored by 6.5. Over under at 44.5. Um, yeah, I mean, I got to take the Michigan Panthers in this one as kind of a get right game, 6.5. I definitely think that's a good spot for that. And then with the over under, uh, I mean, Memphis's defense can't guard apart Carr, like you said earlier, and their offense was pretty good last weekend under Kelly, so a quarterback. So I'm gonna take the over in this one. I think it's a get right game for the Michigan offense, and then I think Memphis will do their thing as well. But I think Michigan will get some turnovers too. They lead the league in turnovers right now. They didn't get any last week, but that's really been their calling card so far is the turnovers. And turnovers usually lead to points, short fields points. So I'm gonna take Michigan spread at 6.5, the money line, of course, and then I'm gonna go with the over there, 44.5.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna stick with you there, and I'm gonna take the Michigan money line. I don't really see how Memphis could win this. They just haven't put together any type of great game, so gotta take Michigan here. I think I'm gonna take the under probably. I don't know. Again, something about this game to me also screams the under. And then I don't think Memphis is going to cover the spread, so we're going to take Michigan to cover as well.
All right, so we're gonna go to the Breakers and the Generals matchup on Sunday in Canton, Ohio. This is a New Jersey home game. John, do you want to start on this one?
I would be happy to. We got a lower spread here. The Breakers are going into Canton, Ohio. They are not the home team here, but they are still favored by -2.5, and the over/under is at 44.5. I gotta take the Breakers here. They show no signs of slowing down. Everything is starting to heat up even more for them as everything looks more complete as the weeks go forward. I think they're gonna win, and I think they're gonna get over that 2.5 as well. They're not gonna lose by 2 or less, so yeah. And then I do believe this one will go over.
All right, so as a Breakers fan, I'm kind of scared that New Jersey sends pressure at us like they did with Michigan last week because the pressure we couldn't handle it against Pittsburgh in week one for the most part. We barely scraped by with a win in that one. With that being said, I'm going to take us at -2.5. Honestly, with the lack of New Jersey like downfield passing game, I think we're going to collapse on the run, and I think we're going to see more of that old school, number one defense in the league, Breakers from last year. So I'm going to take him to win as well. Take that money line, and then I mean we almost covered 44.5 ourselves last week. So actually we did scored 45 last week. So yeah, I'm gonna take the over.
Nice.
And then in this Birmingham Stallions Pittsburgh Maulers matchup, the Birmingham Stallions traveling to Canton, Ohio to play the Pittsburgh Maulers. This is the Maulers deemed home game. In this one, I mean Birmingham Stallions favored by 8.5, over under at 43.5. In this one, I'm definitely gonna have to go under just for the fact that Pittsburgh's offense has not been able to do anything, and we saw the Stallions play absolute shutdown defense only 2 weeks ago. Um, and then I think the Pittsburgh defense is also really good, so I think they can slow down Alex Magoo, maybe contain him in the pocket, make Birmingham's offense a little bit more one dimensional. With that being said, I'm still going to take the Stallions to cover 8.5. This is another get right game for them. They know they're going to need this win because they can't. If they drop to 2-2, that South is already getting tighter with Houston breathing down their necks. So I'm going to take the Stallions to win, obviously as well.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Stallions to win here, but I do think the Maulers will cover that 8.5 point spread. I mean, that's such a giant spread. I don't see how they could lose by more than not or 9 or more here, especially with that good defense they have, and I think their offense will put up a few points here. Uh, and I am going to say that this will go over as well, 43.5. So,
I
yeah.
said under. I said under because of the defenses.
Well, I'm
You said
saying over.
you're going over. Okay, well that's you're definitely high on Pittsburgh. So well, not like super high, but like you're You're higher on them than I am for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right. Well, that concludes our show, except for our final segment. Yes, it's back, baby. This is Off the Wall, a segment where we all get to bring a topic to the table and we all three get to discuss it. So, Felix, you want to go first, my man?
Yeah, sure. I'll just hop right in. Well, first off, I am now officially committed to UCLA next year, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
let's go.
let's
Smart
go,
boy.
baby. Go Bruins, let's go.
Something I
Uh,
would never thought I'd hear you say.
Not the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, speaking of hockey, I know.
But yeah, speaking of hockey, just a smooth transition there. The playoffs have started a couple weeks ago now, and that's exciting because I'm a big hockey fan, obviously. And already some major upsets. We have the Panthers beating the Bruins in Game 7, and if you don't know, the Bruins have had a record breaking regular season. They literally had the most points out of any season ever, out of any team ever in a regular season, and they lost in the first round to the Panthers, who were literally the last team to make it into the playoffs. So that's literally one of the largest first round upsets probably in NHL history. And then we also have the Seattle Kraken, who are a second year expansion team, knocking out
Oh yeah.
the reigning Cup champions in the Colorado Avalanche in the first round, also in Game 7. So already things are super exciting, and I'm just excited to see where this playoff goes. So I'm just, hopefully the train keeps rolling and it stays unpredictable because that's kind of what we want around here. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, both of those games were unbelievable. I'm not even a hockey fan. I think you got me and John tuning into both of them. Neither of us are really hockey
Dang.
fans.
Yeah.
Just tuning into both. Also, I think that Bruin transition was actually somehow smoother than all my boat jokes that I've made on this show. So I think we need a boat joke counter in the bottom right. Can we get that? Can we get that on the show this
Okay,
week?
right.
I think we're gonna have to do
Okay.
that in post, but I think that'd be a great a boat joke counter. Anyway, John, what do you got as your topic for today?
Uh, well, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just kind of went just what I've been doing lately. And this has nothing to do with AP exams because yeah, screw those.
Thank
I
God.
don't like those.
Yeah, facts. Screw them.
I'm going to the newly released Jedi Survivor game that I've been playing a bit.
Oh, okay,
Pretty
okay.
fun.
That's sick.
I
I heard
haven't
it was good.
I haven't done much of the story, but it's definitely a lot more open world than Fallen Order was, and I've just been kind of exploring the planet you go to after Coruscant, which is Kobo. So I've just been pretty much exploring that, and I got the poncho.
Is it
Yeah.
easier than the first game? Because okay, the first game, I couldn't get through the first game because it was like Dark Souls, and like Dark Souls is like
What
known to be
difficulty did
extremely
you put
hard.
on?
No, like normal, and I was still terrible. I was Garbo,
Dude, Dark
bro.
Souls is like the hardest game franchise
Bro,
in
I
That
was,
just
history.
sounds like
I
a
was,
skill issue, honestly.
I was the Memphis Showboats of Jedi Survivor or Jedi Fallen Order. Like I was bad, bro. I was really bad.
That's just a skill issue.
All right, well,
Yeah.
do you like it better than the first one so far?
Yeah, I do. So you guys know that I was playing God of War, before, and I definitely like the open world of that, and I like that Survivor has more of that. Like Fallen Order didn't really. I mean, you could explore here and there, but it was very story driven, and I think this is more explore not exploring focus, but there's just a lot more you can do rather than just the story.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, my topic is going to be the fact that I'm out of school now. Us seniors took our exams last week, and now I've been out of school. And now it's like it's weird because it feels like the rest of the world is kind of like on like normal. They're still doing like their schedule. Like they're not out for summer yet. Like I'm watching like the NBA playoffs, and I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, dang, like all these people in the crowd are gonna have to go to work tomorrow. Like that's crazy. I don't know. Like it's like I'm just like it's just interesting because now this is like the first time I've really been free since we like started the podcast. I was like super busy, which is why we took that long break. But now we're back, and now I'm like literally, if I have free time, I'm working on the show. So it's like it's pretty crazy just how quick things change up, and just trying to fill time. I think at this point, because sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, dang, like what am I gonna do today? I have no idea. And it's just about trying to fill time, honestly. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
That's a
That's all
struggle
I
I
got.
can't
Yeah,
relate
no.
to yet, so.
Yeah, well, in a
Hopefully, I
couple
won't relate to it.
Yeah.
couple weeks.
Hopefully
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
have things to do,
soon
but I
enough.
could easily see that happening to me as well.
I got things. I think I got things to do. It's just like I don't know. I just feel like it's like when you first wake up, you're just like, dang. I'm just like floating around for the first like hour or 2 hours. I'm up, and then I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
Dang, I kind of
Anyways,
already do that on the weekends.
yeah, and it's like, but like imagine that, but like every day now, and it's like it feels like the rest of the world is like still like doing like act like like there are people are at work and like people are at school, and then I'm like, I'm out. So it's like I don't, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get
We're in
it.
this weird
I get
phase
it.
between doing our exams and like officially graduating, so it's kind of a weird phase. I'm gonna get into that next week for my off the wall, but
And in high school and college in general.
yeah, we're in that transition phase now. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to us ramble now. This is Team 9 in XFL and USFL podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Team 9 Pod. You can find us on YouTube at Team 9 Pod. Yeah, there's ads on YouTube. Can you believe that? I sure can't. You can find our Spotify. Look up Team 9 under the podcast and shows segment. And
Hopefully
yeah,
we
we have
show
an
up.
email. Hopefully we show up. You can
Yeah.
email us now too. Team nine
Oh, dang.
team9pod at gmail.com for any business inquiries or questions you may have about the show.
We'd love
And
to hear 'em.
Yeah.
we'd love to hear them
You could
all.
also put them in the
You got
comments. Like that's also.
you put them in the comments as well. But for any business transactions, we are available at team9pod at gmail.com. You guys got any last things to say?
Nope.
No, everything you've covered it all. We appreciate you if you made it this far as always. We love you all. Thanks for everything.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Peace.
mean the two show segment or the two show a week is here to stay. So be here for it. Be here for it. We'll see you guys later.